Now that President Ryan's administration has completely eliminated the coronavirus, we can finally get back to normal life and start going to conventions again. And one of the first ones coming up at the end of the summer is PowerCon, the convention that celebrates He-Man and She-Ra, and there's probably some other characters that are in this brand. I can't think of any of them at the moment, but going to PowerCon is an awesome celebration of this property. There's fans, there's costumes, there's toys, there's art, there's artists, there's people who worked on the toys to meet, and you'll probably meet one or two old friends that you haven't seen for a while that are your PowerCon buddies. I used to go all the time because, well, it was right down the street and I was brand managing Masters of the Universe. And the reason I want to talk about PowerCon right now is they just revealed their exclusives for 2021. And PowerCon has a reputation and a history of doing some really, really great Motu exclusives. Real quick though, because I'm talking about Motu merchandise and while I've got everyone's attention, I want to do a quick plug for another He-Man project that I had nothing to do with, but I love the brand. So, Pixel Dan, as well as some of the other guys who work on PowerCon, like Val Staples, have put together a book showcasing visual guide to every Masters of the Universe figure ever. It's got pictures, it's got interviews with awesome people who worked on the brand. I don't know who this guy is or why they would have wanted to interview him, but, they knew what they were doing. And it covers all the brands, the modern lines, the vintage lines, new adventures, She-Ra. It's a great visual resource. And if you're a fan of He-Man and Masters of the Universe, I don't know if I'm allowed to officially endorse a book, but I do. I love this thing. I've been reading it cover to cover. I haven't made my way through every word yet, but I've been spending a lot of time with it. It's awesome. Wish we had this when we did classics. It would have been a great resource, although the book probably would have been thinner. Okay, so back to the 2021 PowerCon exclusives. The reason I'm doing this video is because I've been bombarded by emails and comments from people asking me my opinion on it. So I figure I better put a video out quick since everyone's asking. Well, much like the retail line for Origins, PowerCon is doing a great job of complementing retail with additional items. This is definitely something I feel is very important when creating a convention exclusive, is that it complements retail. It's like pairing wine and food. You want to have an item that wouldn't work at retail for one reason or another, maybe because of price point, maybe the character is too obscure, maybe it costs too much money to make the figure. Well, in my brain, and we all know my brain is twisted and weird and stuck on top of a giant gorilla, I think this is the way to do an exclusive, and I think PowerCon knocked it out of the park. They looked at what's happening in the retail line, and they found a way to put that and take it to the next level to create exclusives for the adult collector. The retail line may be aimed at kids, but now the adult collector who's also buying this line, probably about 20% of it, well, maybe more at this point, but if they own Castle Grayskull, you can now get items that complement Castle Grayskull, such as the dungeon, the robot armor, and the spirit of Castle Grayskull. If you are confused what you're looking at, the dungeon started off in the vintage line as a sticker, along with other stickers. You put it there on the base of the castle, and it represented a path to the Dwell of Souls where masses of craziness lived. Over the years, there's actually been a lot of customs of this. Some fans have created 3D versions that you could use maybe as a paperweight or just, put that into your classics castle. And Super 7 even did a rug, which I think is awesome. I would love to put this in my house. I don't know where I'd put it. My wife would freak out and be like, why is this in the middle of the living room? It's even something that's worked itself into pop culture. It's been such a, iconic dungeon grate. We did try really hard to get this into classics, but unfortunately the cost just wasn't working. There was so much deco on it alone that it was going to cost as much as a figure, and it would have bumped the price up by $20, $25. So unfortunately it got eliminated. The prototype, though, does have a wonderful home. It's in my wife's china cabinet, so I may not have the rug on her living room floor, but her china cabinet is filled with wonderful, fun things that she thinks are weird, but I love, and that's what a happy marriage is all about. All right, the robot suit, or the space suit, which I actually recently did a video to, you can see here. In Classics, we did it as a prop, as a non-articulated 3D representation of the vintage sticker. Would have loved to do a figure, we just never got to it. So that's why it's so cool they're doing one. And then lastly, the spirit of Castle Grayskull is seen in the mini-comics as kind of this energy skull rising from the castle. was also something the Horsemen proposed for Classics that unfortunately had to get cut, for cost reasons. All right, moving on to the next item is a pairing of Faker and a new character called Duplicat, which is Faker's version of Battle Cat or Panther, which, again, really awesome. A perfect example of complementing retail. Much as extra items for your castle, well, this is a version of Faker that really only the hardcore fans are going to know. It's from Leo Toys in India when they had the license to do Motu in India. And you can see he's a little different. He's got paint on the eyes, he's got the Havoc staff, he's got Skeletor's loincloth instead of just He-Man's. And, he looks a little different, especially around the eyes, where he's got not just like black, but it almost kind of looks like a Zorro mask that he's wearing with green eyebrows and dark red pupils. So, hey, pretty cool. It's a great variant of Faker that's actually been embraced previously by other licensors like Super 7. And works well. And pairing it with his own cat makes sense because He-Man's got Battle Cat and Skeletor's got Panther. And since Faker's kind of a mix of the two, it would make sense that he would get his own cat. And as I was saying about complementing retail, it takes an existing tool and gives it new deco. Now, doing a cat for Faker is not something new. It's been around for decades. Fans have been repainting Battle Cats and Panthers and imagining what they could look like if they were Faker's steed. And there's been lots of different attempts, well, not just attempts, but, interpretations of this, of what it could look like, and even different names thrown out for what he would be called. This one is Copycat, a fan creation. So we never did this in Classics. It was a very cool idea and a great reuse of tools, so it's awesome to see PowerCon doing that. Finally, in the Origin series for PowerCon is this 4-pack of Horde members and some really great repaints that make sense to the hardcore fans. Grizzler in the vintage line had 2 variants, one with tan skin and then later on with dark skin, dark like brown skin. This was something we talked about doing in Classics as well, because again, anytime you can do a repaint and save on tooling, you are helping the bottom line. I talked about this a little bit in the Grizzler video, which you can see linked here. We never got to it, but maybe if we did, it would have looked kind of like this fan custom because, nothing better than a fan to custom a figure and make it look like what it could have looked like. So, again, something that didn't happen in Classics, but great to see it in Origins. And obviously this means we are now getting Grizzler coming soon for the Origins line. Hordak, on the other hand, again, a easy repaint with a few new parts. Originally, he had gray skin when he was a villain created for the Masters of the Universe line, and this is how he was released as a toy and as an Origins figure, copying the vintage original release. When the figure was sort of absconded by She-Ra and the Filmation She-Ra team to be a villain for She-Ra, he was changed to make him pop more in animation by making his face white and his skin blue, because he would show up against the backgrounds better than a character with gray skin. You want your characters to be seen in animation. And he now had a transforming arm that could become a cannon or all sorts of things. In fact, he could become all sorts of things. He was kind of like the Impossible Man in Marvel Comics, except, Hordak-y. And why does he have blue skin on Etheria? Well, the in-canon reason is that the magic properties of Etheria make his blood rise to the surface. You can see his hand getting cut off here in one of the mini-comics, and you see the blue blood pouring out. But since he's on Eternia at this point, he still has gray skin. When he goes to Etheria, well, the blue blood rises to the surface and makes his skin look blue. There you go. This was a variant that we did in Classics for a San Diego Comic-Con version, which, again, makes sense. It's a perfect con version. You take an existing toy, like the Origins Hordak, you give him a new paint job, slap on a new cannon arm, and bam, what? You got a new awesome Hordak that works great for a convention. Complements retail, does a version that kids may not be familiar with. Although, do they even know who Hordak is? Well, I guess maybe from the Netflix She-Ra show. Speaking of the Horde, finishing up the pack are these Horde Troopers. Now, the traditional Horde Trooper wears gray. This was the version that we did in Classics, modeled after the original vintage toy, not modeled after the animated version, which I know some fans had issues with. They were really hoping the toy was going to look a bit more animated. But that would have been part of Club Grayskull, not Club Eternia. And fans have done all sorts of custom versions of Horde Troopers over the years, from giving them extra limbs to giving them different paint jobs. It's kind of like Clone Troopers in Star Wars, where there's sort of a flavor for every possible situation, and you can easily repaint them in different colors so that they're ready for any environment. very much like Batman toys from the 90s, right? So very cool, and essentially PowerCon is grabbing onto this existing fan trend of repainting Horde Troopers and doing official ones, which I guess also means we're getting a Horde Trooper in Origins, so yay! So hey, cool. Honestly, all around, great job. I love these exclusives. I think they do a great job of complementing retail, but doing more of a collector spin, since these are sold to adults at PowerCon, and they check off all the boxes of what makes a good exclusive. So if you're heading to PowerCon or you want information about ordering them, if you're not, just go to powercon.con and check it out. They're great toys, and support the line and support the convention. I hope you liked this video. I hope it helped, and now everyone can stop asking me what I think of these, because I just told you. Subscribe to this channel. It tells YouTube to share it with more people. Thanks for watching.